Meeting called to order, pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag
of
of
the United States of America and to the republic which stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for
for
all.
all. Okay, first on the agenda is minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Minutes for February 2nd, regular Board of Selectmen meeting.
Motion to accept the regular meeting minutes of Tuesday, February 2nd, 2016.
Discussion.
Just on page 3 of 6, under B, documental, second line, Bob Messio stated adding wetlands should be hearing instead of here. And that was all that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Special Selectmen's meeting, February 8th, budget review. These are just some of the highlights of stuff that we went through. They're not 100%. These are all subject to further discussion as we go along.
I move that they be approved.
Second it. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain, I was absent.
Okay, Wednesday, February 9th, budget meeting. Motion to accept.
So move.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Abstain, I was absent.
Okay, budget meeting Wednesday, February 10th. Motion to accept.
I move to accept, with the condition that we add the date of the, I'm sorry, I take that back, move that we accept as presented.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain, I was absent.
Okay, that's great minutes. Let's see, correspondence, I did give you a copy of the correspondence from the U.S. Department of Justice. It's for your reading. They are looking at some ADA issues within the voting system. So this is for your reading and information. This has been forwarded to town attorney to possibly be taken up as a group response, because we come under the jurisdiction of the Secretary of State when it comes to our voting procedures. I will keep the board advised. And that's the only other correspondence that I have. I don't know if anybody else.
None.
Shannon, no? Okay. Selectmen's comments. We still have the vacancy on the Thompson Water Pollution Control Authority Board. I have not received any applicants or anything to date. I don't know if either one of you's.
I have a potential candidate, but actually cannot have.
Okay. So we still will be working on that. There is a issue with the River Junction driveway application, and I want to add that to number 9 on the agenda. Make a motion to add it to number 9 on the agenda to take up that driveway resolution permit. And number 9 is a duplicate of number 8, so just cross out number 9 and we'll put in the driveway permit for River Junction LLC.
So you're adding it to number 8 or suggesting?
It's gonna be number
motion to
9.
add it to number 8.
To number 9. Just do away with number 9 because it's a duplicate of number 8.
So you want to add it to number?
Make it number 9.
You make it number 9, so.
Yep, correct.
That's a motion?
Would you like to?
I made a motion.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So it will be number 9. And I do have a candidate for the fire advisory chair. I do need to meet with the gentleman He was one of the, for our interview committee, Mr. Murphy, and I need to go over the, what would be involved with him. And we will hopefully have a chair in place for our March 1st meeting. I don't have any other selectmen's comments at this time. Anybody else?
Just for the audience that we have here, we've been going over departmental budgets for the last week or so. I'm sure every department in the town now hates me, but so be it. I don't think I'll ever be able to take our book out of the library again, but again, it's the way it is. And there's still a lot of work to be done, but you're all invited obviously to attend those special meetings. It's kind of tedious, but if you're interested, you're certainly welcome to attend. That's really all.
And to touch on that note, we do have a meeting tomorrow night at the library at 5 o'clock. I know there's also a meeting going on here for the continuation of the inlands wetlands public hearing at 7, so we're gonna be at the library. And the agenda is posted, that has there's a couple of minor things, and of course the fire department presentation for their budget. So they will be over at the library for 5 o'clock on that. And on Thursday, we will have one here at 9 o'clock, and, which is scheduled, and that is for the 9 o'clock in the morning. And that has to do with the highway budget and capital expenditures as we make the first pass of our budget going over in preparation for the public hearing that will be scheduled, I believe, for March 3rd. So, and we'll be doing a dry run for what we have on March 1st, to go over that here as a board. So we'll be taking a vote to move that forward on that day, at our March 1st meeting. So, that's all that I've got. Touching on what Steve had.
Yeah, the only thing, well, two things. One, this was in our correspondence. Historically, we've just always approved that they.
It is, it's number 6,
Oh, why is it under my, sorry.
because you don't have your folder with you,
That's what it is.
so you're out of sequence.
Oh, okay. The only other thing is that I did receive a message from the Chief State's Attorney's Office regarding my correspondence from last year. I was traveling, I will be following up this week with him, and then I'll certainly let the board and the residents know where they stand in that process.
You wanna touch on the fact that our first article was in?
Oh, sure, yeah, our first article was in the Villager. I'm hoping our next one will be in there soon. I still haven't received a deadline date. Unofficially, when I met one of the Villager reporters at another event, he had stated historically, we try and have it by like Monday evening, maybe Tuesday. So we'll just have to, I guess, be careful as to, some of those deadlines as we're looking ahead at, important dates, for example, that we might want to include for our budget process, for example. So our next one that we had discussed was going to be the transfer station discussion that we had with the Transfer Station Advisory Committee, and just really alerting the residents that we want to do as much as we can as a board to keep costs down and to not have to look at any possible changes in the way that we have our trash at the transfer station disposed of, and the current system, keeping it status quo as best as we can. So in order to do that, we need the residents to do more recycling, so that way it keeps our bulky waste costs down. And also working with Lynn, which I haven't had a chance to ask her how she wanted to word the portion about maybe changing some of the signs at the transfer station. I guess a lot of them aren't really that visible anymore, and we were suggesting, or she had suggested maybe some pictures to go along with some of those sections, just to make it as easy as possible so people know where to drop off their waste. So that'll be our next one coming up, and I'm sure that we'll also include some of our budget discussions and dates in that as well.
Okay, I do have one more thing under Selectmen's comments, to touch on from the planner. 929 Riverside Drive Brownfield Grant. The which is the large mill over here. The project has been advertised with a closing date of 2 p.m. on Monday, the 22nd, to move forward with the phase studies of the cleanup over there. The pre-conference was held on February 9th at 10 a.m. and there was a walkthrough on the property. 16 firms were represented at that conference with much interest, which was expressed. We're still working on the 630 Riverside Drive Brownfield grant. It is moving along nicely and it's well within budget. Aquatic Road Bridge deck replacement, the project invitation to bid has been advertised with a closing date of 2 p.m. on Tuesday, March 1st. We are still working with Yukon Engineering. They are designing the boat ramp down on the Route 12 in Wilsonville, Riverside Drive in Wilsonville Road. They're going to be surveying the site on the, it says on the 6th of this month, but I think it was put back because of the weather. I-395 Route 193 interchange, the students are continuing to work on that as well. The water and sewer, to get study done to get it over to the industrial park. The students are working on that as well and progressing along. And we did create another engineering study for the community fire department on the property that they're currently at, to see what we can do with the property and either add on or build a complete new site. And that was scheduled to start this past, during the storm after the groundhog said it was summer, and the snow came and got put off a little bit, so they'll be rescheduling to come in to start that. They did pick a, students and architect was scheduled to start that. 962 Riverside Drive, mixed-use development, which is the old Quinn Shirt Shop, that is moving along as well. Marinapolis Sewer Project, we're still waiting for some clarifications. The work has ceased for the winter, and we hope to have the closing on that by March 31st on to securing the loan. Economic Development Commission is now at full at 5 members. There are still 2 alternate seats that are available for that as well. I do have a possibility of one that is a board appointment that will need to be voted on by the board when we do have a couple of applicants that may want to go on that if we find anybody. Hopefully we will, which will help the EDC out an awful lot and bringing you up to date on some of the projects that are going along. Citizens' comments.
Before we,
Or do you have anything else?
If you wouldn't mind, before we move on to that, I think I'm noticing here that we don't have minutes for the special meeting last, it turned out to be Friday, I think,
For the resolutions?
for the two meetings we actually had on
Yeah, I
Friday.
just submitted them today. I haven't
Okay.
had a chance to print them out and put them in the packets. But I do have them.
Okay.
No, not a problem. Okay, citizens' comments. Everybody jump up.
It's Kevin. No, Kevin's not here.
It's a surprise.
Go, Paul.
Go, Paul.
It's all you.
Mr. Bear.
Paul Bear, Thompson Road.
Don't sound so enthused.
What?
Got jet lag.
Car lag. Good evening. Couple items. First, since Steve touched on it in your budget meetings, regarding the library. If we go back, deja vu, to October 2013, the Board of Selectmen, excuse me, I'm adding car lag, wrong thing. It was brought up before regarding the library. The payphone, I know it was mentioned at the budget hearings. they buy bottled water for their employees over there. Because apparently only the public should have to drink out of the fountain and not their employees. It was brought up back in October 2013, and everybody kind of scoffs and laughs at it. Oh, it's not that much, it's only $60 a month, the phone's only $75 a month. Well, to date, since nothing's been done, you've wasted $3,915. And I don't see anyone over there wanting to pony up and take the checkbook out. Volunteerism and using volunteers at the library. If you look at the town's plan of conservation and development, it specifically states in there that to increase volunteer use, or use of volunteers at the library. That was done in 2010. Here we are, 2016. They're still refusing. You look at any other library, not any other, but other libraries around. You look at Bay Kimball, you look at the state capitol, you can volunteer at the FBI, at the CIA. When my wife went to volunteer at the library, she was told the information they handled was too confidential. So you couldn't volunteer there.
At the library?
Budget hearing a couple of years ago, when it was brought up by the chairman of the Board of Finance about volunteers. The director of the library stated, quote, it's on the record, it's on the recording, that the Thompson Library is too special to use volunteers. Did not go over well with the volunteer fire department members and the chiefs that were sitting in that room that night. They have an attitude, and it's a little private social club. They're trying to get a 3D printer. In this town, you have people who can't afford to heat their homes. You have parents who can't feed their kids, so they're getting free or reduced meals at the school. But yet you have this little silver spooner club that wants to have the town pay for their toys. It'd be great if somebody let them pay for it out of their own pocket, and then they can have a 3D printer and use it all they want. Because I doubt anyone or many people in the town are going to pay the money to use a 3D printer. These statistics I'm going to give you are from the Connecticut State Library Board. And it shows decreased attendance, decreased resources being spent for publications, yet the old operating expenses just keep going up. This is from 1996 to 2015. They're available online. They have a great spreadsheet on there. You can do charts and graphs and pick out other libraries with the same size, from the same size towns, to see how we stand. Thompson's wealth rating is 148. Out of how many towns in Connecticut? 165? How many?
169.
169, okay. That's not a very good level to be at. And when you see the statistics, there's more statistics available. It shows that it's wonderful to have a beautiful facility, but if you can't afford to maintain it and operate it, this town built a huge complex up there that has classrooms that are empty, and you're having to maintain it, and the taxpayers are footing the bill. And you have people who would love to leave Thompson, but they can't sell their homes because the value has gone down significantly. I probably can't take a book out of the library either, Steve. The Inland Wetlands Commission. I did send some information.
Just, if you might, if I might interrupt you. Just the, not to contradict the thrust of your argument, but the library visits, I don't have the statistics with me, but that did not tie, I don't know if you remember the numbers.
I don't remember the numbers.
But that does not tie to the numbers that I got from the library. So you got your number from where?
This is from the report that our library sent to the state of Connecticut. You can go on to the Connecticut.
Maybe it was a different cutoff date or something, because it wasn't far off, but It wasn't the same number, and I only remember because it was over 50 instead of the 49, you've got 49,892. I'm looking at total library visits,
Right.
I wonder if-
because I asked a question about that particular number when they did visit us, and excuse me for interrupting your comments.
And this comes from the state library,
Okay.
where they fill their reports out and send them, are required to send their
Yeah.
reports.
Okay, it just didn't match that exact number. I know it doesn't match the number only because I don't remember their exact number, but it just doesn't tie to that. I know it's not the same, I don't remember their exact number, because I believe it was in excess of 50. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And one of the things about the budget for the library is that a lot of heavy expenses aren't put under the library, they're put under the community center. To me, that's a shell game. Because in the reports, if you do go to the library, there's a huge, extensive Excel spreadsheet that goes across all the categories that they report. And they don't accurately report the benefits that the employees get. The heat, apparently the library doesn't have any heat or lights, because those expenses are carried under the community center side of the budget. So they're missing, they've come out and said our budget hasn't increased. Well, you're not comparing apples to apples. I wish it was, singular. You can assess percentages based on square foot for lighting and heating.
And again, not to argue your point, because I don't disagree with it at all, but I do believe that they used the number, something like 114 room uses per month. Does that number sound right to you?
Somewhere in that vicinity.
So the use of the facility, other than the library, using the community rooms, was something like 114 uses of the rooms there per month. So I think the community part of it is, and again, I don't know exactly what's defined as a room use or not, so
Well,
subject to a lot of question, but it wasn't as if that part of the facility is not used.
No, I'm not
So-
saying it's not used, but it's not accounted for. Expenses are more heavily weighted on the community
I
center
don't argue that. I understand.
versus the library.
Fair enough.
And a lot of the functions that they apparently take credit for at the library are not related
I understand what
to
you're saying.
the library.
You're right, that when a
It's co-mingled.
when a party, when a Democrat Republican party has a meeting there, it's not really a library function, I understand.
The janitors are carried under the community center.
That's correct.
So you have no janitors for the library?
That's correct. You're right. They are carried that way, but the budget's presented by the same people, so it's not like it's ignored. But good points. More interest.
I try. The Inland Wetlands Commission. I did send you folks some information on the Inland Wetlands Commission. They have carried a member who was appointed, Commissioner Honig was appointed back in 2012 by first Selectman Grow and Selectman Beausoleil. And in 2012, he attended 63% of the meetings. 2013, he attended 50% of the meetings. 2014, he attended 7.7% of the meetings. 2015, he didn't go to one. 2016, he's 0 for 0. Hasn't attended one. I was at a meeting when he told the commission that he was not going to be able to be involved and he would resign his position. And they said, no, we want you to stay on so that if we need a forum, we can call you. That's holding a seat open for a wild card and a vote. According to the website, there's also a vacancy on the Inland Wetlands Commission. So you now have 2 seats that are no-shows. And they hold this seat open. That's not participation. If you want to be a commissioner on an important entity such as Inland Wetlands, you should show up. Not to have been there for 14 months, not one single meeting. The chairman needs to be held accountable for not dealing with it. It's in their bylaws that if you attend less than 50%, the chairman can take action, pursue something. The Inland Wetlands Commission was separated from the Conservation Commission for, I presume, a good reason. They wanted a division. I don't think it's appropriate to have a member sitting on both commissions. If it was so important that the commissions be separated, and that you're required now to find 14 people to sit on commissions instead of 7, what was the point of splitting it? When you're gonna have one commissioner sitting on both commissions. That's not independent thinking. Because I doubt, most people don't rule against themselves once they make a decision one way or another. I think that should be reviewed. The Economic Development, this is budget issues. Economic Development Commission. 52% of their budget is to pay for recording secretary. I'm not sure in what private sector entity that would be considered prudent. Or would it keep you employed, making that kind of decision? That was brought up before. This is not new business. I'm glad to hear River Junction's driveway application is going on. You mentioned a report. Is that the Selectmen's update that you're putting on, like, in the paper? Or?
Sure, so, it's kind of like a renewed idea from the Selectmen's newsletter, except instead of going out, every 3 months, it can go out as often as it wants. It's going to be a column, similar to what the superintendent's able to do.
Okay. Because it was brought up before about having a Selectmen's update, a short one put on the website once a month, where you didn't have to have an extensive update. You only needed to highlight a few items monthly of what was going on. Instead of having a longer newsletter, you don't have to mail it out, people can find it on the website. The website. The icons on the homepage are still inoperable. Trying to do something. I had a boss who used to say, takes as much energy to do something as it does to try to do it. This is not something that anyone sitting up at the table has to do. This is the webmaster's job. The webmaster got paid to upgrade the website twice. When I was involved with it, I spoke to Mr. Stratus and had an agreement and a discussion as to what was supposed to take place. And what was supposed to take place was the website was supposed to be updated to allow individual access rights to be assigned, which was what the original contract was signed with Chris Nelson to do, but never followed through on. Mr. Stratus didn't do that. Didn't get oversight, was allowed to get paid, and came back and charged the town again to do what he was supposed to do in the first place. He was supposed to transfer all the content. Didn't do that. Somebody unilaterally made a decision to wipe out many hours of work and valuable resources that the town had on the website. The website is missing a lot of committee folders. You have year folders missing from commissions that are there. They have no 2016. The icons on the front page don't work, still don't work. This is not something that's going to take him 100 hours to do. Shouldn't have been put up live to begin with. Conservation Commission. Going back to October 2013, the Board of Selectmen voted to not fund any outside web pages, websites. Have they continued to be funded? Because the Conservation Commission decided that they wanted to have their own website. The town's website, through the supplier, has unlimited capabilities. And they went out, started their own website. It's very limited. The town's website had all the information that their website had on it, as approved by First Selectman Grow, and they didn't like that idea. They wanted autonomy. If they want such autonomy, fine, take them off the budget, and they can write the checks for everything they want to do. The website for the Town of Thompson's Conservation Commission shows the Town of Thompson Conservation Commission as the registrant. But all the correspondence addresses are one of the commission members' home address. Mr. Davis, his P.O. box, and his phone number, not the town hall. The town ran into problems with this before. You could lose the website because he doesn't get communicated if something happened to him. That should have been, they shouldn't have let this happen.
May I ask a question, please? When you held those conversations, with Mr. Stratus, did you ask him about the, possibility of converting that website to an iframe onto the existing webpage? Or would it break the contract with what the Conservation Commission has with that other entity?
They could have easily had another web page attached to, because the town's webpage will, you can host multiple entities, multiple websites with the contract that they have with HostGator. And it has unlimited storage. So they could easily have tied it in with the town's website. Or had the link from the town's website go just to another page with another look that looks like their website, but it would be embedded into the town's website. They didn't have to go out and spend, I think they were spending $105 a year for the website. I pay $29 a year for stuff I have. Guess I'm just frugal, but it's my money. It's real easy to spend money when it's someone else's. The transfer station. I do appreciate that it was brought up in the transfer station about pass for recyclables only. If people don't want to dump trash, but they at least want to recycle. I would still request that they look into outsourcing the operation of the transfer station to find out whether it could be done more economically. If it can't, fine, so be it. But to go on and on every year, operating without even looking into it, to me, doesn't make sense. It's a tight budget season. You've got huge expenses coming down. For some reason, you decided to buy a whole bunch of oil and then pour it on the ground. So you had to buy the oil and then you had to pay to clean it up. You've got that at the town garage. You've got that up at the school. I don't hold out much hope. The way things have gone at the school, you're going back to the contractor. I don't know where that's progressing. I'm not sure why the town has paid out, from what I understand, to have the work done, instead of it being an insurance claim, and filing insurance claim and subrogating the insurance claim. Why is the town having to foot the bill up front? I mean, if you run your car and have an accident, you go out and pay for it, or you file an insurance claim and they take care of it. I think that's it. Thank you.
Sure.
Flag was flying in the dark last time we were here. Of course, we were here late. Did you get the message about the fence across the street? Is that the town's fence? The car going into the fence over at the park?
I heard something briefly about it, that was it.
Enlighten me.
We're presuming, well, we were having discussions
They were looking at the flag and.
out in the parking lot. The light had gone off on the flag by that time, and then I heard somebody over in the park, and it was like he was blowing donuts, and then all of a sudden there was a crash, and it was like he was on the railroad tracks. And they went over to look, and I guess he was through the fence. We did call the state police. The state police didn't report anything to you. Called the state police. It took them a while to get here, but they did show up. And the gentleman said, well, take me to jail. He was coming from Main Street and didn't know where he was going when they asked him. We called it because, you have freight trains coming through in the evening or early in the morning, and that would have been on the news. So I'm surprised you didn't hear about
I just
There
heard
must
that,
be a big hole in the fence.
I haven't seen any hole in the fence, so I really don't know.
It looks like it was damaged, but.
Well, the trooper had to park on one side and walk all the way around the fence to get to where it was.
I'll take a look and see if the PD has a file on it.
Anyone else?
Don?
I have a question, Don Pimental, 40 Star Road. Are we gonna talk about eventually getting cable where we can have these meetings instead of us taping these every week? Is the town looking into that?
I'm going to look into that, yes, sir.
That's great, thank you. My second thing,
Okay.
you said you heard from the Chief State's Attorney's Office? Did you hear by email, or did you actually talk to anybody? I'm just curious.
This was through a phone conversation, or a voicemail rather, on my office phone.
So you haven't been in contact with him yet?
No, he left a message.
Okay, that's all, thank you.
Well, Brian, 108 Fabian Road. I was at the last meeting with the wetlands and the attorney for the Riverside Junction. He was making this spiel about that property being separate. When I bought my property, I had 2 deeds because I bought that property. And I bought frontage. And when I did that, it was combined together, all into one, so that my taxes went from $200 a year to $1,200 a year. And Sabrina was nice enough to enlighten me that when you have frontage, we're allowed to connect it all together. So, I mean, at some point in time, from what I understand, he had a new street, it's like it's on the other street that he subdivided it from,
New road?
new road. Well, and I understand that the parcels he's talking about has a new road address. Well, that was because it was all one piece, and when he subdivided it, it was with frontage. So it was that way. So I mean, I don't know how he's doing what he's doing and trying to say it was separated, but he separated it. So I mean, it is, I mean, because the tax person, tax assessor can tell you that it's the law. This is where you go. You go to the road frontage. So I mean, you don't go the other way. I mean, you gotta do whatever you do, but that's what I know about it. And I just happened to remember it, and I thought about it, and I figured I'd let you guys know that that was because she was very nice to let me know about that. And it cost me money. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Paul Bear, Thompson Road. Regarding what Mr. Pimental asked about recording of meetings and putting them up on the web, the biggest utilizer of tax dollars in town, in the school system, started this communications academy. We had this big fanfare and all this great stuff that was gonna happen. I've asked numerous times for the school to get involved with the town's website. You have kids up there who can dazzle you with their abilities, artistic and technologically. With this communications academy, this would be a perfect place that they could look into showcasing skills, learning skills, and developing real-world experience instead of this electronic portfolio of what? You have a website that's a real-world website that they could utilize in their electronic portfolio of showing that what they've done and managed it. You could have it across the high school grades so that you'd have continuity. As kids come up and graduate through, you have others that have been involved for 4 years, an advisor. And to date, it's like the only thing they know about is sucking funds up the hill. And they don't seem to want to be involved it's an asset for the kids, children. That they should have an opportunity. Thank you.
Departmental 40 Star Road. I wasn't gonna say this, but I'm gonna say it. They can't shut up. It's been 12 years for me on this Star Road issue. If anybody thinks it's only been 2, it's been 12 years. I was at a hearing with my brother back in 2004 at a wetlands hearing. And the non-use of Star Road was brought up then. I asked Mr. Bob Messier if he was gonna put it in writing, and he said he would. 30 days later, we have a P&Z meeting about a mining gravel operation, and the first stipulation was said, the non-use of Star Road for gravel mining purposes. I just have to ask myself, if we didn't want to use it back then, because of the water that came down that road, that's the only thing I can see why wetlands would not want that to happen. What has changed in 12 years? So as a citizen, I went home, thinking everything's okay. And again, 12 years later, the last 22 months, I've been battling something that I should have never battled in the first place. I had to hire an attorney, I had to hire a wetland soil scientist, and I'm being kicked around as far as I'm concerned. We had a hearing 2 years ago. That hearing was because we had 35 signatures on a petition. And that petition was to keep that trail in its natural state. It's been my state of mind since I moved there. And that was told, we were told that that was futile, I believe. And we were gonna have a town meeting vote. And Kristen Forrester held up a paper, said we have .339 miles. We all were there, everybody knows what happened. But everybody knows now that that .339 miles was taken away from Paul Lenke because they don't exist. So I'm just to make a long story short, the can's been kicked for a whole year and a half for me, my family, and everybody in this town. And now applications have come forward and all this came forward. Had we had our town meeting like we were supposed to and we didn't violate Connecticut statute, if it was a town road, it would have been kept in its natural state. That opportunity was denied from the townspeople. Now we find out, we do a title search, 65-page one, and it's not a town road. So it would end up with the same results. I'd like to know, what else more are we gonna do? And that's why I'm glad that this driveway application has come forth, because it's been 3-4 months. And there is no road. So that's why I'm here today, because it gets frustrating that I believe I've been duped for a whole year and a half. We should have had that town meeting, and we didn't. And it just gets frustrating for me as a citizen to sit here and see what's been taking place over meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. And I'm hoping we're gonna get some results. And people are gonna look at those minutes, because if I can find the minutes, you can find the minutes. It's 2004, and the Wetlands Commission did not want to use that area. And someone needs to look into that, because they need to be reminded of it. Reminded of the significant impact that it has up there. And that's all I'm trying to get across, and it takes my Board of Selectmen to maybe to research that and look into it, and maybe voice their opinion at meetings. Because you are a person, you are people, and you should be able to voice your opinion. And don't make me, I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just asking you to look into it and see with your own eyes that I'm not making this stuff up, that these minutes exist. And they're there for a reason, to go back and reference. That's why it's so important that they be on the website, because that's how I got mine, from the website. You can do it from the convenience of your home. I took the day out of work today to look up stuff, and I had to work third shift tonight, and I don't think that's fair to me to have to come back here when I could have just done it at home. But I had to come here because you close at a certain time, and I understand that, you're first shift business. But if those website minutes were up there, You could look tonight when you got home, you could spend 15 minutes and look tonight, you could spend 10 minutes, Kenny. And you could find it, and see that I'm telling you the truth. And that's why I believe they should be put back up. Those are very important. It would save a lot of citizens' time that work third shift, and that work second shift, and the people that work first shift, they can't make it here. So, that's all I'm asking, that someone looks into this, because you guys are the Board of Selectmen. And you are one right now. Everybody's equal here. There's no one higher than the other. If you're equal board, you should be allowed to research things on your own and see if the citizen's telling you the truth or not telling the truth. I've never ever lied to this board, and don't ever plan on it. All I want is people to look into things and back your citizens up, because that's why we elected you. Of course, I told you, Steve, I didn't vote for you, but I'm glad you're here, you know? I'm glad you're here. It's nothing against parties, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but, well, you know, now that everybody else started talking, I had to say something. Paul Lenke did his letter, you know, saying they removed the .339 miles, correct? We all know that. And then after that,
Good name for the record.
oh, Robert Mann, 15 Meadow Drive. And then after that, he signed an application saying he owned the trail. So that's pretty deceptive right there, when you write a letter saying that it's only .15 long, you know, saying it's only .15 long, but then at a later date, you are saying that it's your trail, and you want to allow people to update it, to make it a road. So that's all I wanted to state, because the dates, it's after that he filed the application, after the forged document was, you know, realized and came to. Thank you.
Stretching it, Paul.
Clarification,
Go ahead.
the applications doesn't say to make it a road. The application Mr. Lanky signed authorization for is to install water diversions only. Does not say anything about filling in a water course or filling in a wetlands.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the highway fuel tank remediation funds. We do need to go to the Board of Finance, I do need authorization to go to the Board of Finance, because no matter how it's paid, we still have to get authorization from the Board of Finance, and then go to proper referendum to pay the $117,000 plus. I do not have, I forgot to pull the bill for that. Can you save this and pull up the Board of Finance minutes from?
You need a motion to do this?
Oh, no.
I want a dollar
You want
amount.
them,
Dollar amount.
was it talked about last?
It was talked about at the November,
Can we
Board of Finance
do it
meeting.
up to an amount?
it'd be the remediation cost, not to, which is.
Not to exceed.
Yeah, $118,000.
Yeah, we could do something like that.
That'd be fine.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a motion that I'm authorized to go in front of the Board of Finance to request the funds not to exceed $118,000 for the remediation costs of the fuel tanks at the highway department, fuel tank replacement. Any discussion?
No, I don't know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes, we can get that underway. Okay, we need, we have a request in front of us from Tri-State Trek. They're requesting on Friday, June 24th, 200 cyclists will travel through the town on their way to Boston to Greenwich, Connecticut. The 14th annual ALS TDI Tri-State Trek. The events benefit ALS Therapy Development Institute, a nonprofit biotechnology company based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We're requesting to use portions of our roads, which they have asked for in the past. They have supplied, the proper liability insurance to use the roads. And there is a form here that, the Connecticut approval form, so I'm looking for approval of this in order for them to, conduct their, tri-state trek. Commencing, utilizing our roads between, the 24th and 26th of 2016.
Minutes are on.
Is that a motion?
Making that a motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we will give the authorization and send it off. Okay. All right, which one do we want? NECOG. What I did do is I gave you a copy of the NECOG resolution. I got this morning, it was on the agenda from Friday, and I did have a couple of questions which I did pose to Mr. Philcheck after I had read it. And
That's this?
yes, that's that package there. I had brought that to the board before showing of some of the grants and stuff previously. And this is an actual copy of what they're going to be asking the state for funding. There's an outline in here for the hazardous waste facility to be located in Brooklyn. There's also a regional performance incentive program for animal services facility. We currently have our own. The shared road maintenance equipment as another one.
Oh, this is all in this package here?
It's all in this package,
Okay.
just
The,
highlighted.
this is the, okay, this is
Okay.
the canine essentially?
Yes.
Okay, that's good, we talked about a little bit of that.
There's another one here for pre-hospital emergency care study, phase 2.
Okay.
All right, this is all to be read at your leisure, so we can act on it at the next meeting.
Okay, the shared maintenance, is that the pothole filler thing we talked about?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Value-added agricultural feasibility study. There's information pertaining to that in here as well. And a regional back office function component as well.
Gotcha.
The hazardous waste will cost us money per capita to use that.
Right.
All right, so there's costs associated with that. The animal control will currently, there is a fee incorporated with that as well. For the use as when John Philcheck did their presentation of the functions that NECOG does. So what I'm asking the board to do is take a look at this package and see what they would like to participate in, because we do have to spell it out in the actual resolution. That's why I'm not proposing it tonight, after reading the resolution. So, the pre-hospital care study, that's 100% funded. There is no cost to us.
Let's do that.
Yes, that's a follow-up study. Same thing with the regional back office function, that is a complete grant with no cost. The shared equipment, same thing, no cost. And the what do you call, the agricultural is no cost, the study to be done with that. But the hazardous waste and the control, there is cost associated with participating in that. So I do request that the board read the information, see what the costs are, think about it, we can have a discussion for the March 1st meeting. The resolutions do need to be done by the end of March.
Let's add a couple of these items to our next special meeting then, on budgetary meeting. Some of these relate to some of the budgets.
Yeah, we on all the budget workshops, there is general discussion on
Okay, very good.
the budgets that we've reviewed, so I brought that so we have the reading on that.
Thank you.
I did get the clean water funding resolution squared away. Because we did not, with the typos and everything that we had, from the Thursday meeting. There's a
Right.
copy for each of you.
Thank you.
to follow along. There's two other pieces of paper that go with it, but that's for the town clerk to acknowledge and authorize, validity of the resolution that we've passed, that's strictly for the town clerk. So, this is a clean water fund financing for the water pollution abatements facility. It's in conjunction with the phosphorus upgrade. Whoever would like to read it, read part of it, each take a page, however.
All right, we have to, when we do these things,
Yes.
when you use an abbreviation like WPCA, you have to define what that means. You just can't use that abbreviation without ever defining what it means. So the second line of the resolution itself, is start using WPCA as an abbreviation without ever defining what it means. It is never defined in here, so you can't do that. You have, and I mentioned that before, you have to say WPCA means Water Pollution Control Authority, or something like that. You can't just start using abbreviations, because it will lose its meaning down the road, kind of thing. Second line below that, I'm just reading this now. The line below that, is there some reason we capitalize of? It should be the town of Thompson is what it should say. I think it's because I think I remember noting that in my comments before. Authorizing the town of Thompson, so they're missing the word town. And no need to capitalize of.
Nope.
And there's no need to capitalize to enter into an agreement with the state of Connecticut, that's my knowledge anyway. And I'm just reading the first three lines here. It's the same thing we talked about Friday.
So the acronym was brought up during that discussion?
Yes, he did bring it
Yes,
up.
okay.
It was supposed to have been corrected.
And again,
And some other things are capitalized that
it doesn't.
seem like project, revenues,
There's no need for
state.
all that capitalization in there for some reason.
which but I do agree with the WPCA, just spell it out for definition purposes the
Even
first
if
time,
you,
and then you.
subsequently you can use that, that's fine, but
Right.
at somewhere along there, you gotta define what it means. And again, authorize, again, I'm looking at the third line of the resolution itself, authorizing the town of Thompson.
You're talking in the first paragraph, Steve?
Yeah, of this, right here? Right there,
Yeah.
it should say the town of Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, and then when you later on say the town of Thompson, or in the municipality, later on then you should use the municipality instead of later on putting in town of Thompson, which is what we decided to do for some reason. You know, 2 lines below that, we revert back to the town of Thompson. Not really wrong, but
Do you see anything else?
minor point, CWSRF should follow the term that it stands for, so it would follow fund typically. Normally you'd use that. Again,
They put it in the
I
middle.
wouldn't stop progress for that, but
Oh, well, we're already making those changes, we might as
No, it's right here. For some reason, they put it in the middle of the
Right.
Ware Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
When does this have to be, signed by?
We can, if we approve it tonight, then it can be signed in the next couple of days.
We have a meeting,
But I won't get it on the agenda until, you know, with the timeframes for the agenda with the
Fair enough.
24-hour notice,
fair enough.
so. I'll have them rewrite the,
Also, for some reason, I think somebody's got a carriage return, shows you my age, an enter here and here, you know, it should just be
All right.
one line, it's not, again, I wouldn't stop progress for that.
I can make that correction.
And usually our resolutions have something on the top similar to like what our town meeting resolutions are. No? I feel like this one looks different.
It was just to be on the top letterhead.
I apologize to the audience for the time it took.
No, that's fine.
You were too long.
Um, Do you have notes to have them change some of the, capitalized things? in
Yeah, I
the motion?
can change that.
Okay, good.
That's easy. That's very easy.
So we have a meeting tomorrow, so we can't.
We have a meeting at 5 o'clock. We have a meeting on Thursday at 9 o'clock.
Can we do it Thursday night then? Would that be, is that too late for this or no?
To put it back on the agenda?
Yeah.
Add it to-
Is that too late? Can you get it done by tomorrow morning or no?
I can add it back in, that's not a problem.
Or is it too late? I mean, I don't know what the.
No, okay. You'd have to get the town clerk's office open before 9 AM and whoever picked the agenda would have to be here before 9 AM then.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I can do that right after the meeting to put it back on the agenda. If you would be so kind as to make, because I didn't get all the notations you were talking about,
Okay.
if you could do that,
And I
then.
think we also talked about this, shouldn't this be an and?
Steve, at this point, I don't even know where you are.
Okay.
And I'm, you know,
Okay, shall we talk about it? You wanna do this? Well, we need to talk about an open meeting, so.
I'll bring up the end. What I will say is, this was in PDF form, Steve.
Okay.
And when I converted it over, I thought I got all the enters out of the way, and evidently I missed a couple. Going back through the paragraphs. Because it came as a PDF file.